Hello SRJC, Advanced Digital Video students. This is your instructor, Jeff, going to explain in this particular video how to make the reflected text have a drop shadow, actually an attached drop shadow, and have that reflection appear on a reflective surface, animate the surface, animate the reflection, and make the reflection look like it's part of the surface rather than sort of hovering above it. So we'll just start by taking some text. There's the text we're going to use. I want to make a reflection of that text, so I add another layer. And basically, to make a reflection, you first have to do a vertical flip. So I type in vertical. Vertical. There's my vertical flip. This guy. And we're working on this word here, the upside down word. And now we want to have that sort of gradually fade away. So we use linear wipe on that one. So linear wipe, I'll take a look at that one. That has a feather and a wipe angle and a transition. Well, the wipe angle, we want it to start from the top and go down. I always forget whether the top is 0 or 180, so we take a look here. Looks like that's the way we want to go, because I want to have it fade off from down here going toward the object. That's the source of the reflection. So there's my linear wipe, 0 degrees. Transition right now is 39, but the feather is important because we want it to sort of gradually fade away. So I usually aim for a feather somewhere greater than 50. We're going to put this on a dark surface, so we may adjust the feather later. So the transition maybe needs to be a little bit more. So that works for me there. I like that. So right now I'm feathering at 90, and I've got transition of 42, and the wipe angle is 0 degrees. All right, now I want to be able to have this thing look like it's heading toward me rather than going straight down in the ground. So to do that, I use Basic 3D. So I just type in letter 3, number 3, and there's Basic 3D. Apply that. Basic 3D has swivel and tilt. Swivel is like a swivel chair. Left and right. Tilt is the one we're interested in. We want to tilt out toward us. That's back. If I go positive direction, that's going the wrong way. So let's go this way instead. Okay. That looks good. 50 degrees. That works for me. And now to add a little bit more realism to it, although this is probably, going beyond what you would expect to do here, I'm going to add what's called corner pin to it. So I can stretch this side out to the left and this side out to the right. Corner pin it's called. So let me just look up corner pin in the effects. So corner. There's corner pin. Drag it over there. The corner pin has that lovely little four-pointed thing that tells you if you click on this, you're going to get little points that show up. You never know how many there are going to be unless you know what the effect is, but that tells you there will be little targets. So first of all, I take these two targets here and put them right at the beginning, pretty much on the left-hand side, because I'm going to pull this thing to the right. As you can see, as I pull it to the right, I kind of get it back in place there. So I really want to pull it farther down and farther to the right. So I need to expand my view. I need to zoom out on the view. I'll go like to 25% here, and now I can really pull these guys out. Pull them down a little bit farther. And you can see that it takes a little bit of manipulating. Now that it's too wide, now I'm going to take these two guys on the top and maybe bring it in a bit. So let's go back to fit. Bring these guys in like so. That's kind of the way you work with corner pin. And also, at the same time, I'm adjusting the location of the reflection relative to the source of the reflection. So now I'm happy with that. Yay! Next order of business is to make a drop shadow. So to make a drop shadow, you need another instance of your title. So let's drag that down here. So the drop shadow, you want the drop shadow to actually fall away from the word reflection, not to be one of those lame drop shadows that sort of just hovers behind it as if you had some kind of a flat surface back there. And to see the drop shadow, you need something behind it that you can see the shadow fall on, because the shadow will be gray and you won't be able to see it on a black background like this. So I need to put something underneath all these guys, and so I need to raise these guys up one layer. So I select them all by marquee selecting them. Drag it up a notch. Now I'm going to get my surface that I want to have it reflect on. So I need that little lakeshore thing that we had before. Drag my lakeshore down here. Realize that the lakeshore is a large picture relative to the screen size here. I'll show you how large it is by going out here to 25% and then clicking on motion. You'll be able to see its real borders. That's how large this picture is. So I'm going to adjust it. I'm going to adjust the picture to fit my words. Normally you'll be the other way around, but just trying to simplify matters here. So now you've got the shoreline lined up with the words such that the reflection more or less makes sense now, right? See that? I could, this is just a photograph. I could drag this thing anywhere I wanted to. We'll just keep it like that for the time being. That seems to work pretty well. So now there's this one word on top here. I'm going to turn off the second and the third so you can see that just this word is the word I want to turn into a drop shadow. So how do I do that? I need to actually apply a drop shadow to it. That's the first easy step. Drop shadow. Drag that to there. Now it's gonna make a drop shadow. And we'll go take a look at drop shadow. Now the thing is, the first order of business is we don't want to have the word there. We just want the drop shadow. So turn on shadow only, and there is the drop shadow. Now we want the drop shadow to tilt away from the word, so it also looks like it's falling more down on the ground and on the trees rather than flying up in the air like this. So we use good old basic 3D. Type number 3, there it is. Put it on here. Now we want it to tilt away rather than tilt toward it. So now the tilt will be positive. Oops, maybe it's negative. That looks right that way anyways. Here we go. There we go. And we could take, let's say, motion, for example, and uncheck uniform scale, and we could scale the height. That's one way to make it. When you do scale height, it just looks like you're sort of lifting it back up again. So that's why I kind of like the use of the corner pinning. So we'll just reset the motion. So I'll try the same corner pin that I used before. Just type in corner pin, C-O-R-N. Same routine as before, except this time I'll have it move away this way instead of down to the bottom. So here's corner pin, click this guy to show the 4 points. Take this point, put it up to the beginning of the word. It does move away, you can see that, but we'll get that. We'll get it to work in a second here. Pull this thing away like that. I need to go back to, let's say, 25% so I can see. Now this, since the reflection is kind of hard to see there, let me go to 50%. Can't see the word reflection very well. Let me go look back again at the softness of the shadow, the opacity, make it 100% for the time being so you can see it better. So there we go, get this thing stretched out. So now I need to turn on this reflection below here so I can see the word to make sure that I can line these guys up properly. Okay. I think we got that now pretty well laid out. Now I can go back to the tilt and see how the tilt's working here. That looks more like an honest to goodness drop shadow. Now we've got it on top of the reflection. Now we want it to be behind it, so I need to take my word reflection and put it on top, put this guy down below it so it looks more like a real drop shadow. Now you can barely see it behind there. If I turn online, then you can see it for sure. Let's see, we got it. Let's zoom back in there. Okay, now we want this word, that word reflection. I always get my words mixed up here. There we go, now we got it. So this guy, our drop shadow is dropping away, which is nice, but now of course the shadow looks awful because it's too dark, but I needed that so I could help line it up. So now we go back, click on the drop shadow, which is this one. There we go. And knock the opacity down, make it a little more realistic. There we go. I could also put linear wipe on this one too, but let's just for the sake of our process here, we're not going to worry about the linear wipe on this guy for the time being. And we'll make it, the distance should have been 0 to begin with, but that works out okay. The softness, let's make it a little bit softer so it looks more like a shadow. And when you make it soft, unfortunately, that's one of the little drawbacks of Premiere. When you make something soft, it moves. So you can do that in the beginning, or else adjust its location now. So now we've got it all set up. We've got the word, the reflection, the drop shadow, and we're rocking and rolling. Now I want to animate the reflection and animate the reflective surface.